You're sitting in your car in the parking garage after work on a Thursday evening. You just got the notification your paycheck hit. $6,847 after taxes. You should feel relief, maybe even pride. 5 years ago, you were making $52,000 and barely scraping by. Now you're at $112,000. You've made it. You've crossed into six figures, but instead of relief, you feel this low-grade panic because you just checked your savings account and it's sitting at $3,200. The same $3,200 it's been hovering around for the past 8 months. You're making more than you ever imagined, more than your parents made, more than most people in this country make, and somehow you have less breathing room now than you did when you were earning half as much. You can't figure out where it's all going. You're not being reckless. You're not buying crazy things. You're just living. And living apparently costs exactly what you earn, no matter what you earn. You sit there in your leased SUV, in your expensive parking spot, wearing clothes that cost more than they should, and you realize you're trapped. You're earning six figures and you're broke. My name is William, and I've spent years studying a phenomenon that defines modern professional life. High earners who have nothing saved, who live paycheck to paycheck despite salaries that should create security, who feel more financially stressed at $110,000 than they did at $60,000. If you've achieved the income milestone you thought would solve everything and discovered it solved nothing, or if you're terrified that your next financial emergency will expose how fragile your situation actually is, despite your impressive salary, what I'm about to explain will show you exactly how you got here and what the escape route looks like. Here's the cultural narrative we've all absorbed. Six figures is the threshold. It's the salary that separates struggle from comfort, working class from professional class, stressed from secure. We grow up watching this number treated like a finish line. Get to $100,000 and the hard part is over. You'll buy a house, save for retirement, take real vacations, stop worrying about bills. The number has mythological weight in American culture. It's shorthand for made it. But there's a structural reality that nobody explains until you're already locked in. Earning six figures in 2025 doesn't mean what it meant when that cultural mythology was established. In 1995, a $100,000 salary put you in elite territory, top 5% of households, legitimate affluence, country club money. But inflation has been compounding for 30 years. $100,000 in 1995 has the same purchasing power as roughly $205,000 today. If you're earning $100,000 now, you're not earning what your parents meant when they said six figures. You're earning the inflation-adjusted equivalent of about $49,000 in 1995 dollars. You have an executive title and a working-class purchasing power. The label says success, the bank account says survival. But the mythology hasn't updated. We still spend and budget as if $100,000 carries the purchasing power and status of 1995. We're trying to live a lifestyle that the currency can no longer support, financing the gap with debt and telling ourselves we're doing fine because the income number looks impressive on paper. Let me show you the mathematical trap with precise numbers, because seeing the mechanism makes it undeniable. Consider someone named Jessica. She's 33, works in marketing, just got promoted to senior manager at $105,000 annually. After federal taxes, state taxes, Social Security, and Medicare, her take-home is roughly $73,500 annually, or $6,125 monthly. That's real money. That should create security and surplus. But watch what happens to it. She bought a house 2 years ago when she was earning $85,000. The bank pre-approved her for $425,000. She bought at $410,000 with 5% down $20,500. Her monthly payment, including property tax and insurance, is $3,100. She felt good about this because everyone said buying builds equity and renting is throwing money away, but $3,100 is 51% of her take home income. The recommended maximum is 28%. She's house poor from day one. She has two car payments. One is hers, a 2022 crossover. She bought certified pre-owned because her old car was unreliable and she couldn't risk breakdowns affecting work. $440 monthly. The other is her partner's, a sedan they financed at $385 monthly. Total transportation, $825 monthly. Student loans from her master's degree, $520 monthly. She refinanced them, but they'll be around until she's 45. Now add utilities for the house, $280. Internet and phones, $180. Groceries for two people eating relatively normally, $700. Gas for commuting, $220. Home and auto insurance, $320. That's $6,145 in fixed costs before she's bought a single discretionary item. Her take home is $6,125. She's already $20 in the red every month before she's gone to dinner, bought clothes, paid for the gym, subscribed to streaming services, or handled any unexpected expense. The math doesn't work, so she uses credit cards. Just a little each month. $300 here, $400 there. The balance creeps upward. She tells herself she'll pay it down when she gets her next raise. But the next raise will bring its own expansions, and the credit card balance will keep growing. This is what's called the Henry Trap high earner, not rich yet. But that yet is a lie. Most people in this category never become rich because the structural mechanisms keeping them broke are invisible, and they mistake high income for wealth. Income is water flowing through your hands. Wealth is water you've captured in a bucket. Jessica has high flow but zero capture. She's running a household budget with negative margins. Here's the psychological mechanism that creates this. When you earn $55,000, you know you're constrained. You make conscious decisions, cook at home, skip expensive purchases, live in a modest apartment. Your overhead is low by necessity, which means you might actually save $400 monthly. But when you reach $105,000, society tells you that you've arrived. You should live like someone who's arrived. The bank says you can afford a $410,000 house. The car dealership says you qualify for premium vehicles. Your peer group has upgraded their lives and expects you to match. You're in professional meetings with clients. You need to look the part, better clothes, better laptop, better everything. This is the conformity tax. At $55,000, nobody expects you to perform wealth. At $105,000, everyone does. Your parents are proud and start asking when you're buying a house. Your colleagues talk about their home renovations and international vacations. You feel pressure, sometimes subtle, sometimes overt, to demonstrate that your career success is real through visible consumption. So you expand your lifestyle to match the income. But you expand it exactly to match, leaving zero margin. You've converted from profitable to break even and called it success. Let me show you another mechanism nobody discusses: tax bracket creep and benefit cliffs. These are structural traps designed to extract money from exactly your income level. When Jessica earned $85,000, she qualified for certain deductions and credits. Her student loan interest was fully deductible. Some healthcare subsidies were available if she'd been between jobs. She was just under the threshold for various phase-outs. At $105,000, she loses access to several of these. The student loan interest deduction starts phasing out at $75,000 for single filers. If she has kids, childcare tax credits phase out. If she contributes to traditional retirement accounts, the deduction phases out at higher incomes if she's covered by a workplace plan. And critically, every additional dollar is taxed at her marginal rate, 24% federal, plus 5 to 7% state in many places. So that $20,000 raise from $85,000 to $105,000, After taxes, it's about $13,400 additional take home, or roughly $1,117 monthly. Not the $1,667 she imagined, but her expenses didn't increase by $1,117 monthly. They increased by more because she lost subsidies and hit benefit cliffs. Her effective raise after taxes and benefit losses might be $800 monthly. Then, she increased her lifestyle by $1,200 monthly, nicer house, newer car, more convenient spending because she's busy with the demanding new job. She's now $400 monthly worse off than before the promotion. She got a raise and became poorer. The system is designed to do this. You're in the taxation sweet spot. You earn enough to pay substantial taxes, but not enough to access the tax avoidance strategies available to the wealthy. You're the revenue source funding everyone else. Here's where it becomes psychologically devastating: the time trap. To earn $105,000 in most professional environments requires availability that destroys your life outside work. It's not 40 hours, it's 50 or 55 when you include the commute, the evening emails, the weekend catch-up, the mental space it occupies. At $55,000, Jessica had a job she left at the office. At $105,000, she has a career that follows her home. She's constantly accessible, she's stressed, she sleeps poorly. And when you're stressed and time poor, you spend money solving problems. You order food because you're too exhausted to cook $60 for dinner instead of $12. You pay for house cleaning because you don't have time $200 monthly. You subscribe to services that promise convenience, grocery delivery, laundry service, meal kits. You buy clothes instead of doing laundry. You use ride shares instead of figuring out parking. Death by 1,000 convenience purchases. This is decompression spending money spent recovering from the damage your job inflicts. Jessica is paying a premium to survive her own career. She's in a closed loop. She earns money to pay for the services and therapy she needs because of how she earns the money. The high salary creates the problems it's supposed to solve. This leads to the golden handcuffs phenomenon. Jessica hates her job, her boss is toxic, the company culture has deteriorated, she's burned out. She fantasizes about quitting, maybe taking a lower stress job at $75,000, maybe starting a business, maybe going part-time to recover her mental health, but she can't. She's built a $105,000 infrastructure around her life. The $3,100 mortgage payment requires that income. The car payments require that income. The debt service requires that income. She's locked in, she has no optionality. Compare this to her friend who makes $62,000 and lives in a modest apartment for $1,400 monthly, owns a paid-off car, and has minimal fixed obligations. That friend can quit tomorrow if her job becomes intolerable. She can take 3 months off to figure out what's next. She can accept a job that pays $50,000 if it aligns better with her values. She has freedom because her overhead is low. Jessica, despite earning 70% more, has zero freedom. She's a prisoner of her lifestyle. The high income didn't create security, it created dependency. She can't afford to lose this job, which means she can't afford to set boundaries, can't afford to push back on unreasonable demands, can't afford to advocate for herself. Her bargaining power in every interaction is undermined by her financial fragility. The six-figure salary made her weaker, not stronger. Let me show you what this looks like over time because the long-term consequences are where this becomes tragic. Jessica is 33. She's been living this way for 3 years, earning good money, spending all of it, saving essentially nothing. She tells herself she'll start investing seriously once she pays down the credit card, once the next raise comes, once the cars are paid off. But there's always another once. The debt never shrinks because she keeps acquiring new debt. The cars get replaced with new cars when they're paid off. The house needs renovations that go on credit. By 43, she's earned over $1 million in gross income over that decade. Her net worth has increased by maybe $80,000, the equity in her house, from forced principal paydown, minus the credit card debt, minus the car depreciation. She captured 8% of her earnings as wealth. The other 92% disappeared into consumption, taxes, and debt service. Meanwhile, someone earning $70,000 who kept their overhead at $45,000 and invested $15,000 annually has accumulated $220,000 in investment accounts. The lower earner has nearly triple the net worth despite earning 33% less. The difference is capture rate, not income level. By 53, if this pattern continues, Jessica will still be working full-time by necessity despite 20 years of six-figure income. She'll need to work until 67 or beyond because her lifestyle has scaled with every raise. She needs $8,000 monthly to maintain her consumption patterns, which means she needs roughly $2.4 million invested to retire at 4% withdrawal rate. She's on track for maybe $400,000 by 65 if she aggressively saves the last 10 years. She's trapped in mandatory employment despite decades of success. Here's the identity shift required to escape this. You have to divorce your ego from your income. This is psychologically demanding because we're socially conditioned to demonstrate our income through consumption. Your car, your house, your clothes, your vacations, these are all signals of status and success. Opting out of those signals feels like admitting failure even when it's the path to actual wealth. Jessica needs to live like she earns $65,000 while earning $105,000. That $40,000 annual gap, $3,333 monthly, is the only path to building wealth. But doing this requires her to endure social discomfort. Her colleagues will wonder why she's still in a modest apartment when she just got promoted. Her family will ask when she's buying a house. She'll feel pressure to act her wage. The discipline required is refusing to perform wealth through consumption. It's keeping the older car that functions fine. It's staying in the smaller place. It's cooking at home. It's saying no to lifestyle upgrades that everyone says you've earned. Because the upgrades don't create security, they create dependence. Every upgrade is a new fixed cost that requires permanent income to support. Every upgrade eliminates optionality. The person who lives below their income isn't depriving themselves, they're buying freedom. That $40,000 annual gap invested at 7% returns becomes $600,000 in 10 years, $1.5 million in 20 years. That's the difference between mandatory employment and optional work. That's the difference between being controlled by money and controlling money. Let me tell you about someone who figured this out. He's a software engineer I know who went from $68,000 to $135,000 over 6 years through job changes and promotions. Standard trajectory for his field. His colleagues all upgraded their lives, proportionally bought houses in expensive suburbs, leased luxury cars, traveled extensively. He watched them do it and understood the trap. He kept living in his same modest apartment, paying $1,600 monthly when he could afford $3,500. He kept driving his 2014 Civic when he could afford a Tesla. He kept his lifestyle essentially frozen at his $68,000 baseline. That $67,000 income increase became roughly $46,000 additional take-home after taxes. Because his expenses didn't increase, that entire $46,000 went to investments. After 6 years, he had $340,000 invested. His colleagues earning the same income had houses with minimal equity, depreciating cars, and virtually no liquid savings. He had more optionality at 34 than they'll have at 54. He could quit his job tomorrow and live 2 years without income. They can't miss a single paycheck without panic. The difference wasn't intelligence or luck, it was refusing to let income dictate lifestyle. He understood that high income creates the opportunity to build wealth, but only if you don't convert the income into consumption. Most people automatically convert. They see more money and immediately find ways to spend it. He saw more money and immediately invested it before he could spend it. Here's the warning. When you implement this strategy, your life will look less successful on the outside. You'll be the weird one who makes good money but doesn't live like it. People will be confused. They might think you're secretly broke or financially illiterate. The social pressure to normalize is intense. You have to be comfortable with people not understanding your choices. But here's what they won't see: your growing investment accounts, your increasing optionality, your decreasing stress about money despite making only $105,000. They won't see that you can weather job loss, take career risks, turn down bad opportunities. They won't see that you're building toward a finish line that actually exists, financial independence, while they're running on a treadmill trying to afford the lifestyle their income supposedly entitles them to. The person trapped in the Henry cycle can't see past next year. They're in pure survival mode despite six-figure income. The person who's escaped it can see decades ahead because they've created margin. They're playing a different game with a different definition of success. Here's what I want you to understand. Earning $100,000 isn't the problem. The problem is believing that $100,000 obligates you to live like someone earning $100,000. That belief that your consumption should scale with your income is what keeps you broke. Wealth isn't created by earning more. It's created by capturing the gap between what you earn and what you spend. If you're currently in the Henry trap, here's the path out. First, calculate your total fixed obligations: mortgage or rent, car payments, insurance, debt service, utilities, minimum food costs. If that number exceeds 60% of your take-home pay, you're over-leveraged. You need to reduce it. That might mean moving to a cheaper place when your lease ends. That might mean selling a car and buying a cheaper one outright. These decisions feel like failures because we equate square footage and vehicle quality with success. But they're actually victories because they restore your financial flexibility. Second, automate investment before you see the money. If you're earning $105,000, set up automatic transfers that pull $3,000 monthly into investment accounts on payday. Live on the remaining $3,125, it will feel constraining at first. You'll feel broke despite making six figures. That feeling is correct. You are broke relative to your income, and that's intentional. You're creating artificial scarcity to prevent lifestyle inflation. Third, freeze your lifestyle for 2 years. No upgrades, no new recurring expenses. Every raise, every bonus, every unexpected income goes to investments or debt payoff, not to lifestyle. After 2 years of this, you'll have rebuilt your financial foundation. You'll have savings, you'll have eliminated high-interest debt, you'll have created breathing room. Then you can consciously choose which lifestyle upgrades genuinely matter to you rather than upgrading automatically because you think you're supposed to. The Henry trap isn't about failing to earn enough. It's about succeeding at earning and failing to capture. Most people in this trap will spend their entire careers feeling like they're almost there, almost secure, almost stable, almost able to relax. But almost is permanent because the target keeps moving. Every raise triggers lifestyle inflation that consumes the raise. The carrot stays the same distance ahead no matter how fast you run. The escape is recognizing that security doesn't come from earning more, it comes from needing less. It comes from building a gap between income and spending that compounds into freedom. The person earning $100,000 and spending $60,000 is far wealthier than the person earning $200,000 and spending $195,000. The first person is building optionality, the second is building fragility. Your income is not your worth. Your income is just a tool. The question is whether you're using that tool to build a life you control or to finance a performance of success that's slowly bankrupting you. Six figures isn't the finish line, it's the starting line for either wealth accumulation or wealth destruction. Which path you take is determined entirely by whether you let your consumption track your income or consciously decouple them. Your future self, the one who's financially independent or still trapped at 55, is being determined by the decisions you make today about what your current income obligates you to spend. The trap is optional, the escape is available. You just have to choose freedom over performance.